Hi everyone, in this video we will see how to launch Ubuntu Linux VM from ServiceNow using ARM template and CPG. So first we will try to get the template. To do that, you can search for Linux launch Linux VM plus ARM plus Azure, and you will see a link. Quick start. Use a resource manager template to create Ubuntu. So we'll open that. And if you open this, you can see that there's a template here, which basically will be used by ServiceNow to provision the VM. So if you see the template, you can understand that there is a section called parameters, which basically tells you what are the different parameters required to provision the VM. And then there are also something called as type and default value. Type tells you what is the data type of this parameter, and then default value tells you like what default value it can take, right? So you can directly use this to upload in ServiceNow, or you can also click on deploy to Azure. So once you do that, it will take you to this page where you can actually deploy it from here. So now you just have to go and populate the values. For example, like let's say Central US, and then the resource group name you can create. Now you can select the existing resource group, right? And then you can give the username and password. Uh, and after that, you can give a DNS prefix. Uh, you can just you can remove all of this and give a value var1 rg2, and then we leave the OS version as is, and then location will say Central US, and then VM size will leave it as is, vnet underscore var1 rg2, and then we'll keep this suffix same for everything else. And then next is to review and create. So we'll just click on review and create, but we'll not actually create it. We'll just let the review happen, so that you can see that it is reviewing the. So as part of review, you can see that it is actually reviewing the information which is entered, so that there's no error in the information, and now you can use this as a template to load into ServiceNow. So you can click on this link called download a template for automation. So when you click on that, it will download two files. Basically it will download a zip file which will contain two files. So one of them is yeah, so if you can see here, it creates like a templates parameters files here, and then you can download them. So when you download them, it creates a zip file, and in the zip file there will be two files. One is called parameters file, one is called template file. So I'll open and show that to you. So if you see here, this is how the file looks like. Two JSON files are created. So now you can use these to upload to ServiceNow and create a catalog item. So we'll switch to ServiceNow. So in ServiceNow, you select a module called Cloud Admin Portal, and once you do that, then you will click on Design, and then click on Cloud Catalog Item. And when you do that, it will give you all the available options. So you click on New, and then you can just say Azure Simple Ubuntu 2016, 2021, March 18, 2021. So some unique name, and then give the template type as ARM template, because this is Azure template, that's why it's ARM, and then save it. So once you save it, then you will be given an option to upload cloud template. So you click on New, and then here you can ingest the file that you have downloaded. So you can click on Update a file. So you select the file location from where you have stored this template.json, and click on OK. So when you do that, it basically creates all the variables automatically in the backend, and then it also gives you the default values that you have selected for those templates. Uh, so you have an option to okay, yeah, you're not able to modify it here. You have to do it in the template itself. So let's fix these two and then try uploading it again, right? So let's do that. So I'll open the template file in VS Code, and then I'll do that, and then I'll again upload the file. So yeah, so this is my file. Now I want to fix the, for example, location. So I'll change this to Central US, and then next is DNS. Search for DNS. So this, yeah, so this one, so let me go to the top. Yeah, so in the parameters section we should be able to modify them. So in the default value we want to change that to and then we will say rn rg2. Next we'll check the other default values. So vnet also we want to change it to underscore rn rg2, and then we'll do the same for this also. So that takes care of the default values that we want to update. I will save it, and then I'll upload the file again. So I go back to ServiceNow and click on Cloud Templates. So either I can activate it or I can delete it. So I'll go ahead and or I can also update it. So let's try the third option. So I'll now have uploaded the latest version of this file, and then I click on OK again. So now we should see the default values updated to what we have given. For example, location is now coming up correctly, subnet, vnet, all of them have the right values. So I think we're good. So let's click on activate. So once we activate, it does some work in the background. It does a lot of validation to ensure that whatever values we have given is meaningful from the template perspective, and then it makes the catalog item active, the template active, and then in the next step we'll activate the catalog item, right? So yeah, so we'll give it a couple of minutes. It usually takes like a minute or two for this activation to happen, so we'll wait for that to complete. So once the activation is complete, you'll be taken back to the catalog item screen. So you can now see that the state is active for the template, and the validation status is successful. So which means now all the validation has been done on the template version, so it is ready for the deployment. So now you can click on active and copy the name of the catalog item, click on update. So now we will switch to the user portal, and from here we will go to launch a stack and search for the stack. Click on it. So you can see that the cloud account is auto populated. Location, stack name, we'll say rn stack 3. User group, this is a reference list. Depending on the groups to which the user is part of, it comes up. Schedule, select that. Lease and date, you can give any meaningful date. Application, these are list of applications in the platform. Cost center, again cost centers in ServiceNow. Business services in the platform. And then resource group name, you can use an existing one, you don't have to create a new one, but you can also create a new one. So for the resource groups to come up, you have to first run a cloud discovery. Only then this list of resource groups will be discovered. The benefit of doing it through ServiceNow is application, cost center, business service, user group, all these values will be used as tags on the resource. So in future, if you want to understand the consumption of the resources based on either a cost center or to which application it is being used, or if you want to drive any change management or event management, all those other ITSM and ITOM based operations, then you can leverage on this data because you are making the user populate this upfront instead of filling it later on. Right, so yeah, that's the first, the general info section. And these the way the catalog items are constructed is General info is part of all the catalog items, and then same with the provisioning section. So general info contains all the information that is required by ServiceNow to provision the stack. I mean, these necessarily are not needed by Azure. So for example, Azure may not require application, cost center, business service, or user group. These are all very specific to ServiceNow. Right, so now let's click on next. So in the next, you'll see that under provision, you'll see what attributes or what parameters are required by Azure. So you can see that all the values we have given are defaulted here. We just have to now enter username, password. So it has to be at least 12 characters long, uh, and alphanumeric and so on, like one special character, one uppercase. All the rules apply, right? So once we do all of this, we can click on submit, and then ServiceNow will talk to Myth server, and then it will start provisioning the resource. Right? Again, this usually takes like a few minutes, so we can see what happens. So you can, if you observe here, it will give you like a status of the stages of how the provisioning is happening. So first, it will try to apply blueprint provision policy, like to see if the user is allowed to provision a blueprint and so on. And then it will approve the cloud request, and then it will check for quota capacity. If the quota is not there, then it will not allow the stack to be deployed. And once all these checks are performed, it will try to run the uh, stack orchestration interface API, which is part of cloud API, and then it will try to deploy the stack. So once the deployment is complete, you can see that in Azure. So we'll wait for this to complete, and then we can switch to Azure and see the resource. So while doing the deployment, I've observed that I received an error in the deployment because I mean, there are like multiple subnets which are not in the availability set. So there's an issue with that because there's already one more subnet in the resource group. So now I will clean up all the existing resources on the resource group and then try the deployment again. So for that, I'll switch to Azure portal. So you can see that I have cleaned up all the resources. Now I don't have anything which was created from previous deployments. So now I can retry the deployment again. So for that, I come here, I click on retry. So once we start provisioning, we can see that we are getting all these resources created. Like for example, NSG is getting created, VNet is getting created, and so on. So once we refresh, we should also see a VM in place and then disk and everything. Right. So this is what we are trying to deploy from ServiceNow. So we'll quickly go to ServiceNow and see what is the status there. So in ServiceNow also you can see that the deployment is successful and it is trying to complete the tasks. So it did the deployment of resource successfully. Now it is trying to uh, do the remaining tasks here, like the network interface and then the resource type and so on, right? So yeah, once we see the tick marks here, that means that the deployment is complete. So yeah, so in this demo I also have demonstrated how to retry a deployment if it fails, right? So we covered that scenario as well. Now we'll do a quick recap of what we have seen here. So the first thing we did was we went to this link here, and then we try to get the template, and then we click on the we reviewed the template here, and then we clicked on this link in, deploy to Azure. So uh, once we are on Azure portal, we populate the values uh, in the deployment section, and then after that we download the template and the parameter file. So with those files, we have created the catalog item in Cloud Admin Portal, and then we verified the default values. For a couple of them, we had to change the values, so we have changed it, and then we re-upload the template with the new values. After that is done, we activate the template, we activate the catalog item, and then we try to deploy it. So that is how you can deploy uh, a Linux VM from ServiceNow CPG using Azure ARM template. Thank you for watching.